My name is Todd Harris, and I'd like to thank the Jewish Grandparents Network for inviting me to chat a little bit with you all about one of my favorite topics, which is video games and esports. Now, if you clicked on this video, you must be at least a little bit gaming curious. Perhaps you've noticed that loved ones in your life, maybe your own grandchildren, are spending more time with screens, particularly during the pandemic we all experienced when we were shut indoors. And very likely those screens were not as much television screens, but video gaming devices, whether that's the Xbox in their room or a mobile device or a personal computer. And it probably kept them very engaged for a long time, but you might have been curious. Are there downsides to this activity? What are the upsides, if any? Well, I'm pleased to share in our next 5 to 10 minutes together my perspective on this topic. So who am I? I'm definitely a gamer. I play games myself. I'm a parent of gamers. My kids are now in college, so they have their own Jewish grandparents to contend with. And I've also spent a lot of time in the video game industry. I was part of a company that developed video games for about 15 years. It's actually a 500-person company, so pretty successful game developer. And my current business, I put on gaming events. So I spent a lot of time with this form of media. And what I want to share with you today really are three things. First off, what really is gaming in terms of a media form, and why is it so popular? The second thing I want to share are 5 specific ways where you can use gaming to engage with your grandchild. And then finally, as a bit of bonus content, how you can potentially use gaming to keep your grandchildren and family engaged with Jewish content and the Jewish community. So let's jump in and talk about gaming. First of all, let's dispel a few myths. When I was growing up, there was definitely a stigma about playing video games. It was a little bit like junk food, maybe tolerable in small doses, but don't have too much. But as research has developed, really, I invite you to think of gaming not as junk food, but more as protein powder, something that can actually nourish and fuel you when used correctly. Now, of course, you can have too much protein powder. You can have too much gaming. But when used correctly, it really can improve outcomes. And really, gaming is like an intellectual sport, very similar to an activity such as chess, which doesn't have quite the stigma that video games have. A second misconception is that gaming is only an activity for kids, which is not at all the case. The average gamer is actually 35 years old. So you might not have grown up with gaming, but very likely someone in their 30s probably did and may still dabble in gaming from time to time. And finally, people might think gaming is a bit niche in its popularity, but it is actually the largest form of entertainment right now. Again, maybe when you grew up, you thought of music being in that category, or certainly film, the box office industry, but you actually have to take the entire film industry and the music industry and put them together. And gaming as an industry in terms of revenue is larger than both of those combined. It's about $170 billion in terms of revenue, so big business. But what is a game and why is it so popular? When you think about what really distinguishes a game, people sometimes think it's the fancy graphics or the special effects. But really what distinguishes a game is the fact that it is interactive. And this is a very key principle. In a game, the player is the protagonist. It's all about agency, which is a very Jewish concept and very appealing to humans regardless of their faith. In a game, the player has control. That is what makes it fundamentally different from a book, a television show, or a movie. Second element of gaming is that the player is presented very clear goals at incremental levels of difficulty. You're presented with a challenge, and then once you complete that challenge, you're presented with a harder challenge. Third, a game delivers instant feedback to the player. When they accomplish that challenge, they get a nice effect and a sound. And this is a very satisfying loop to players. We all have experienced taking on a challenge, whether that's learning to play tennis better or golf better. And if you get constant feedback and you see yourself improve, that can be very satisfying and engaging. And video games are designed around that fact. And finally, the fourth element of a game that wasn't around in games when I was younger, where you played them by yourself, maybe in your living room or in your parents' basement. These days, games are connected, most games, over the internet, which means they're played online and they're truly a social experience. So it is all about community. So agency, clear goals, challenges, feedback, and community. All that together makes for a compelling gaming experience, and you can understand why that could be very engaging. Just like any other activity, games could be played mindlessly or mindfully. But for many young people, when they put their mind to it and they see improvement of their skills in a game, that's very satisfying, just like a traditional sport or just like another intellectual activity such as chess or a musical instrument. Now, let's get into 5 specific elements where you as a grandparent can lean in to this appeal of gaming to engage with that special person in your life. The first is to just open the lines of communication in the home about gaming. This might be intimidating to you because you're not familiar with the technology or the specific game. It just looks like a bunch of graphics flashing on the screen. But if you're just authentically curious about this passion of your child, what game are they playing? What's the goal of the game? How are they doing? Are they playing with other people? Just opening up that conversation is very, very healthy, and most children enjoy being the expert in something and sharing their passion with you. A second element is to be familiar with the content. There are different types of games out there, and they're actually rated similar to movies. So you have games that are E for everyone and have very family-friendly, non-objectionable content, up to T for teen, and all the way to mature rated games that might have a hefty dose of violence or sexual content. And every household has to make these decisions, but you should just be aware that there is a content rating system. And I specifically invite folks to look at a website called Common Sense Media. commonsense.org, I believe, is the website. And it rates all types of media, including games. So be familiar with the content. The third element, if your game has an online connection component, use that gaming experience to help teach digital citizenship. That is, going from a single player experience to jumping online with other people. We know that opens up a lot of connection opportunities, but also some potential risks. And this is not unique to video games. It will happen with social media. It happens with chat boards, etc. But often gaming is the first online experience for children. And so the idea of cultivating good habits, such as do not share your personal information, your age, your address, none of that needs to be shared. If someone's asking inappropriate questions, talk with someone that you trust. Also just being a good sport to others online, being a good winner, right, and not a sore loser. Games are a chance to teach these sort of lessons. Fourth element is really you can recognize that games allow for tremendous personal development and skill development, that is soft skills. So again, just think of your child as if they were playing chess, but cooperating with others in terms of playing a game, and that's a way to teach teamwork. Think about a growth mindset. Games are amazing for teaching a growth mindset because when you start out a new game, it is very difficult. And you truly learn by failing again and again until eventually you get better. And this loop of improving your skills through deliberate practice and not being too frustrated by failure, but taking a break and coming back and seeing improvement. This can be applied to anything in life, whether it's education or, of course, job performance, personal relationships. And finally, a fifth opportunity is use games as a chance to explore career interests with your grandchild. Do they think one day they might want to grow up and create a game? Because there's actually a lot of jobs related to that. Or maybe gaming ticks an adjacent interest, such as in computer programming. Do they think about how they might change the rules of the game? Perhaps they're an aspiring game designer. Or do they have a knack for finding what's called glitches, the little areas in the game where you can exploit something or find something that the development team forgot? That is the sign of a good quality assurance tester in the future. Even if they're not aspiring to work in the game industry, oftentimes career interests are triggered by gaming. Certainly it was in my own case in 7th grade. Finally, those are my big 5 ways to engage with your grandchild, but I want to leave you with the bonus one, which is there are organizations out there that are leaning into this passion of gaming specifically around cultivating a Jewish community. And what a great organization, a nonprofit, is called Lost Tribe Esports. They're actually the ones that connected me with the Jewish Grandparents Network. So thank you to Lenny and the group at Lost Tribe. And Lost Tribe Esports is all about using this passion for gaming and gaming content and social media in order to reach the next generation that may otherwise be disconnected from their Jewish heritage and their community. They do great work. Congratulations to them because they recently earned a Slingshot 10 to watch recognition, which of course is a very lauded list of up-and-coming Jewish charities. So I invite you to check out Lost Tribe if you have someone in your life who is interested in gaming, but you also want to be connected to other Jewish peers around the world also interested in gaming. That was our 10 to 12 minute speed course, crash course in gaming and esports. I know it was a lot of information. I tried to pack it in quickly. Hope it was beneficial for you. I invite you to share this passion with the young person in your life. My name again is Todd Harris. You can find me if you happen to be on social media at Todd Allen Harris, Toddalan Harris on Twitter and LinkedIn. I talk about this stuff a lot. Happy to answer any of your questions online and hope this was helpful. Thanks very much.